Hi, Philip.
Right.
um, so you are our one of our homegrown artists for this week. Could you just tell us a bit about yourself and what you're getting up to?
Yeah. So I am a writer and like to write long stories, like novel length. Um, but for this project, I thought it would be cool to go more towards like a short story. So what I'm working on right now is a series of 7 vignettes, so 7 little stories that are kind of glimpses into how open heartedness was played out in my life over the course of lockdown in Dumfries.
Mm. You're a published author as well, and if I'm getting it right, a lot of your work is kind of but borders on the sort of dystopian realm as well, a little bit.
A
So if
little
you could
bit.
just describe a little bit about kind of what your kind of preoccupations are in your writing, maybe.
Yeah, so my first novel was about kind of society and technology and looking at an angry activist and who thinks maybe that if we shut down the internet, we could see more social change. Which is ironic given the current circumstances where the internet is saving us and we might get social change in addition to that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of, I think in the end it's not dystopian, but it does have a very critical look at how society works.
It's interesting. I've seen a lot of that kind of pop up in sort of social media conversations as just abolish the internet, which is really, really, really strange. I'm kind of curious as to where that sort of came from, but it's nice to know you're ahead of the curve. um, how has the pandemic affected your writing, or even your ways of thinking about creativity, or even the world in general?
At first, it was really difficult for my writing. I probably was spending most of my time talking with other writers and artists about how difficult it was to make anything in this time where we felt like, of all times, should be when we're making things. And I think it really was just we needed time maybe to soak it all in. I know I did. Um, that it was frustrating because I thought I should be writing, but really I think we're going through a traumatic time. You know, this is something that I think will be with me the rest of my life, and needed to give myself time to take that in. And thankfully, the past few weeks have been really productive, and I think I've seen other writers and artists I know have also been able to do more, and we've just needed maybe some time to adapt to this new world.
Absolutely, you see a lot in the early stages of this sort of, I guess, a productivity epidemic of people thinking they could really, this was their time to focus. This was, the world giving them some time, but in fact, it was a misjudged um, interpretation of the entire scenario that unfolded, I think. And yeah, I think everyone has struggled to reprioritize their creative practice as well. Um, what is your favorite either creative project, an artwork, or any piece of kind of writing that you've worked on, either recently or way in the past?
Hmm. Need to think for a second on that. I would say um, I like collaborative writing and collaborative performance. And so in a poetry workshop a few years ago, collaborated on a poem with another writer. And I think the name we came up with was Lessening. Um, and it reads as one poem, but but we each wrote our own lines and kind of saw how they fit together.
Mm.
Um, and what was really cool and I think unexpected is that it actually reads really well
Mm.
as two people reading it. So almost like a two-hander play. But
Mm.
um, yeah, and so now I love performing it with other people because it is a poem that doesn't really work with just one person.
Mm. Yeah, it's kind of like the early surrealist activities that they did, like the exquisite corpses and how they kind of manifested, and that kind of led to a kind of series of collaborations. And really kind of out there abstract works, but yeah, I agree. The collaborative kind of thing, that sounds really interesting, the whole performance element as well. Is there anyone you find particularly inspiring right now? And this could be an artist, a politician, even a writer, or anybody you're kind of like sort of going back to, or you're finding kind of, you know, a lot of affinity with right now.
Um, there is a pretty well-known street artist based in Sheffield named Flam or Flagum, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And he has been making little sketches and posting them on Instagram. I think pretty much like one per day, and they're really great because they're entertaining and they are very like timely. They're very set in this time. He's not trying to separate from what's going on in the world, and it's inspiring for me. Like I enjoy seeing them, but it's also inspiring to see him making the best of this circumstance. And he's being probably more generous than he has in the past. He every couple weeks he makes all of these available for download,
Wow.
encourages people to print them out and put them up in their house, and then he'll comment on that and see people using his art in different ways. I had one that was like, I should probably shave now, and it has this guy with this huge long beard, and at the time I had a pretty unwieldy beard, so I could relate to that one. And so I really like how he's connecting people and speaking to the situation with his art.
Yeah, I guess those people are the sort of ones that we are drawn to because of the generosity they kind of exhibit. And this is not only confined to artists or creatives. It's also I think my mum keeps going on about Joe Wicks, for example, all this free, you know, material and these exercises that people are really embracing. And finally, is there any kind of last kind of words you want to say about the you know, your work in the Homegrown project, or um, anything going forward that you'd like to kind of comment on?
Well, I think I want to thank the stove. I think they've been a tremendous part of my life over the past year, and all of mostly in person types of things with Brave New Words and High Street Writers. But it's great to see how you all have stepped up given the lockdown, and kind of similar to Flagum, like just finding ways to make this work in a whole different world, and that's really great.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. It's not the easiest time by any means, but it's made us kind of articulate our kind of resources and our reasons a bit better. With a community in a pandemic, our priority is to support and to keep the conversation going, I think. And you're very much part of that. And thank you for chatting with me. And can't wait to see all the stuff coming up. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.